Hello, my friends. This is Andy coming to you live from Yorba Linda, California, home of the Placentia Yorba Linda School District, which we're going to be kind of concentrating on right now. This is my guest, Leah Davis. How are you?
Hello. Hi.
We'll be talking a little bit more about this wonderful woman who's married to a first responder, a fantastic hero in our community, who's coming even closer to our community.
Yes.
Going to be coming to Orange County, the mother of three beautiful children, which we're going to be talking about. The first thing I want to tell you is that I'm the president of the California Parent Alliance and the host for the California Parent Alliance podcast. And just go right down there to the californiaparentalliance.org, where you will find more info.
More info.
My first day with the new lips. It'll be all the information will be there as to how you can join us and create a chapter. We obviously need a chapter in Claremont now. So we're gonna do that. That'll be amazing. So Leah, first, you're a resident of Yorba Linda, California.
Yep, I am.
With me.
I live here, not far from here.
You know, did you realize that I just got notified by Spitzer's office that Yorba Linda is the 5th highest rating
for
city
safety
in the state of California.
Yeah, thank God.
Which is saying a lot considering how close we are to LA.
This is true.
And there are 5 cities within Orange County that made the list too, of the top 10. Yeah. So we're doing pretty good over here, and we want to keep it that way.
Yes.
Agreed?
Yes. We agree on safety.
And today is Tuesday, so we agree that it is Tuesday.
Yes.
But we had met because here in the Placentia Urban School District, and I think this is important for, this is a statewide organization, that you understand what it is we're going to go into is happening in every school district. That there's a faction or actually a divide between parents and teachers and teachers unions and some other parents.
Yeah.
And what we hope to do today is to try to kind of bring that divide together.
I hope I have that power, but I don't think I do. But we're gonna try.
I think you do. Which is the most interesting thing, is because this divide between the two, it's been very divisive, which I hate that word because it gets used all the time, but it has been, especially in the school board meetings where we're yelling at each other, not allowing others to speak, and not really even listening to the other side. Very
uncomfortable.
So it just so happens that Placentia Urban School District was able to vote for the banning of the teachings of CRT, at least the things that are involved in that kind of stuff. In that fight for 8 months, private groups were created where people that we'll call them Greenies for now.
Okay, that's fine. Greens and Reds.
The Greens and the Reds. The Reds are mostly conservative Christian, maybe some libertarians that are in that organization or that group of people. And then on the Green side, people that we would think are mostly liberal leaning Democrats.
Yes.
People that believed in some things that were totally opposed to what the red shirts believed.
Yes.
You joined a part of that group.
Yes. I was on one of those groups, and it was actually a comment was made that one of our trustees was just a puppet, and that
Leandra Blades.
Yeah. Okay. We can say her name.
Yeah.
Okay. So Leandra was just a puppet, and there was a master behind her. So I made the comment that you were the Ignorant Douche Lord, the leader of the Ignorant Douche Lords, which I say it was meant to be funny-ish. But
it was in a private group.
But it was in a private group, and I did not think you would see it. Yeah. And typically I am the person that I don't have a problem saying things to someone's face. I think if you know me, you know that I am very honest, and I will tell you how I feel. And if you are my friend, I will always be honest with you. I will support you 100%, no matter what, but I will tell you when you're wrong. And I didn't think you would see it because I didn't know you. I knew who you were. I knew of you. I had seen your name floating around with hers. So when someone made the comment that there was a puppet master, I threw you in there.
You jumped right in. Well, that's 2 things. Is that when I read it, of course, I know Leandra. I was, a part of trying to get as many people to learn about her when she was running. Same with Sean Youngblood and same with Marilyn Anderson. It wasn't just her. But first thing was that Leandra has nobody leading her. So the group that may be watching is that I surely am not leading her. But she is on her own a very strong leader, and so I want to make sure that that's clear. Number two, I may be a douche lord.
You might be, but I don't know you enough to tell you that yet.
But I do have strong opinions about what's going on in our community.
Yeah.
A former police officer for 21 years. I'm still involved in law enforcement and still fight for the men and women in blue. And so when it comes to, people claiming that police are racist and that, the community that I like to be involved in, which is a conservative Christian, is when they're racist, I also, just so we could be kind of on the same page, have no problem speaking out,
right,
and strongly and in support. And I've said, and I've called the president a number of poorly names. The current one. The current dude.
The previous one.
We'll talk about the previous one in just a minute. And so I understand.
Yes,
I do understand, but I do it out in the open.
Yes,
not in the
which I appreciate, actually.
So, the other thing is that I don't get offended by much. I mean, I grew up Hispanic. I was called wetback and beaner and all that kind of stuff, and I just kind of like and so it's kind of been my way of life, is that accept the fact that there's going to be some people that'll call your names, but kind of embrace it and make fun of it and enjoy it. And so that's kind of what I did when I got a screenshot of your comment.
Yes, and that's why we're here, because you did that. You didn't get defensive, and you didn't get mean, and you didn't get those things. Had you done that, I probably would have just come back for you. It would have been an argument, and then you would have blocked me, and it would have been this whole thing. But instead, you had a sense of humor about it. I have a pretty good sense of humor, so I thought it was kind of funny. And you called me out, which I also appreciate. I mean, I had to own it. At that point, I had to own it. And this is exactly why, when Leandra made her first comment, let me just back up to Leandra real quick. So when Leandra was running for school board trustee, she's not in my area, so I didn't really have a say anyway, but her political views don't really offend me. I have a lot of people that are on the other side, if you will, and that supported Trump. That did not offend me. The first time I was offended by her was the comment she made on your podcast about the black dog. I reached out to her.
Were you watching?
No, I was not watching the full thing. I watched the clip, which also was, I probably should have watched the whole thing. But the comment alone, I was like, not okay.
Right.
So, so when I reached out to her, I wanted her to just own it and go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That was not my intention, and publicly just apologize. I think that was, we're human. Like, we're all human.
Yep.
So we all are going to say things. We're all going to be taken out of context. I had just wished that she had, I guess, when confronted, owned it and said, this is not what I meant. Let me fix this. Hold on. But when she didn't do that, I was like, oh, well, I called her a racist and she's not disagreeing with me, so she must be. And so that's and it just spiraled from there. So I owned it. I did say it. I didn't know you at the time when I said it, so I shouldn't have said it, because I really
it was merely just because of my association with Leah.
Totally. It was totally because of your association.
So I want to kind of stop at these little moments here and kind of evaluate some of the things that we all could do differently. And I think the important thing now, I hope you don't mind, as far as your faith, is we call it a Creaster.
Yes.
You go to Christmas and Easter.
I am not a very religious person.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we don't necessarily make this a religious thing. But for me, I have gotten far closer to my faith and stronger in my faith over the last couple of years, and I need it, because I can be one that will say some really strong things, and kind of be a little bit more out there with my point of view. Where I think my faith has helped is that it's to back off a little bit. Yeah. And that has been kind of a message on this show that I've done. If you guys go look back a couple shows, I've said, you know what, let's try this. Let's tone it down. Yeah. and see if we can't begin to create some room for some dialogue, because right now there is no room for dialogue,
Right.
when you have so much tension. And I want to ask you, because if it would have been earlier, like you said, it would have been more difficult, because I would have
Yeah.
probably said something. I would have still laughed about it, but I would have been come back. Oh yeah, Blondie.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
who-
we would have gone.
who ties
and
your
showed
shoes for
yeah,
you?
We would have exactly.
But how much of that do you think was helpful and could be helpful to maybe even some people that you do know on what would be the green side of things, if we were to just tone it down just a little bit?
I think that's where it is. I think that's what we all need to do. I think that we all have way more in common than we think. I think even you and I mean, I thought you were a douche lord because you associated with Leandra.
Yeah.
I then had a conversation with Leandra that was very long, and we, in some moments, was very serious and maybe uncomfortable. And then in other moments we were laughing. So I think we just need to have that discussion. Unfortunately, we've come to this place of, well, you wear green, so you must be this way, or you wear red, so you must be this way. I am very much in the middle, I think, when it comes to certain issues. The one issue that I will always stand for is equal rights and inclusivity. No matter race, religion, what have you, everyone should be treated equally, and every student in our district should feel safe and supported and valued. And to me, that's really the biggest issue.
Mm-hmm.
All these other issues, I just feel like a conversation needs to be had. And like you said, you came at me in a way that was not like you weren't calling me names and you back, which I actually appreciate it. And that's why it started this conversation. You had a sense of humor about it. I did too. I mean, I owned it. I had to go into your comments. I'm sure there was a lot of people going, oh, that's the girl that said it. Let's come for her. But, you know, I think that we all want the same things. It's just we're all very passionate parents. And the one thing I can say about these meetings is that I see everybody has that in common. We are all very passionate about our kids.
Right.
I personally just don't want the agenda to be pushed. So you're religious, I'm not, but I don't, I 100% respect your religious beliefs, but also respect the fact that I don't have those same beliefs. And I don't think in public school, there should be any like religious or political agenda pushed. So that's where
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the equality thing too. But I want to talk about CRT just really quick, because I think there's some other communities that are struggling with this.
Yes.
And one of the things that we discussed is that you, as many people do, were just not understanding what was the fight all about.
Yes.
And then when you get to the school board meeting, you have this one faction saying that we are going to not allow the teaching of that slavery took place in this country. That that there's no racism. I mean, there was just so many things that we were going to take away U.S. history and not allow it to be taught.
Right.
And that what was the thing? The AP, right?
Oh yes, the AP classes being taken away.
AP classes were going to be taken away. All these things that they were saying on a regular basis were simply not true. We were coming up and saying, we have no idea what it is you're talking about. We're talking about teaching real U.S. history. I want the books about communism, the books about socialism. I want to teach kids about the horrors of slavery and the internment camps and what we did to the Indians when we come over. That is part of our history. You can't teach U.S. history without teaching the atrocities of history. And we kept telling them that, but they would get up and say that we're not going to teach it. Yeah.
So I'm not really, I mean, okay. And I will be the first to admit, I don't really understand CRT. I only personally know, like when I say personally, I mean friends. I love this person. I love the family. I mean, we are friends, and she is very smart. And I don't know if it's just me, but I was like, I do not understand CRT. I'm going to side with her because that's what I think. She's brilliant and all these things, but I didn't really understand it for myself. And I have to wonder how many other people are like that. How many people on the red side are just siding with their people? because they have the same values and everything else. But I did not understand it. I would hear both sides and I'm like, I still don't understand it. So I don't know. I didn't understand why we were trying to ban something that we're not currently teaching. And
Yes,
I didn't understand. I didn't understand all of it. I didn't understand any of it.
So back to your comment about equality is, and I know this is going to sound strange, and hopefully I can make it make sense.
Okay.
Is that we're going to get rid of this green and red side pretty soon in a minute, but I can only describe it as this because this is how we've been working for a while. Is that the red side, regardless of what people think, we have been working for equality. I mean, that's what by banning CRT, we want equality. The separation in CRT is that you're going to separate people by the oppressed and the oppressors. You're going to separate people by race. We've even seen some schools having separate graduations based on race, and even in genders, and separating people by genders in the discussions in these classrooms, not only in social studies, but in math, in reading, in all the other school curriculums that are out there, that somehow they're going to create a race aspect to it. In math, they were beginning to say, well, math is racist. There's no right answer in math. And so we have to make sure that there's some equality and equity, and that it doesn't have to be right. We're going, wait a minute, this is all so wrong. If you take all those things, and I'm not hitting all of them, but there are very much a division between factions of people, which what we wanted to say is that, no, we want to be in the classroom of Black children, brown children, and yellow children, and white children, and just teaching math. 2 + 2 = 4. It's not 2 + 2 = whatever the oppressed want it to be, because they're oppressed, but the oppressors, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so here we're making this division through CRT, where what we want is I mean, I have a Persian daughter, I have Mexican Irish children, and I'm a police officer that's Hispanic. And they were saying, okay, which group do I belong in? Right. And it became very confusing. What we don't want to do is do that. What we want to do is have all the kids sitting in a classroom, learning how to read, write, count, and how to think.
And I want to teach empathy. I mean, understanding where your fellow neighbor has come from. I mean, I live near a Muslim church, and right now it's Ramadan. Mm-hmm. And look, I don't know much about Ramadan. I am not Muslim, and I don't read the Quran, but they are my neighbors, and I respect everything that they have going on, or the holidays they celebrate. So I will go and have dinner with them and let them know, like, hey, I'm your fellow neighbor. I am a white, non-religious woman, but I am here. I support you. I see you. It's all love. I mean, I typically do try and lead with love, regardless of my douche lord comment. I typically do try and lead with kindness. It's when you are a douche that I will continue going, okay, well, we're not going to go high when they go low. We're just going to go low with them. So yeah, I mean, I don't want anyone, including those white children or whatever the oppressed children, whoever they are, I don't want them feeling that way either. Again, I didn't understand it. And I know that there's another side to it. So it's very conflicting. It's like you hear one side going, no, it's, both sides actually sound great. I just don't know which is actually the truth. And I'm not reading that resolution in full because it's like 300 pages. And I don't got time for that.
The truth is my children aren't racist. The truth is that my children don't even understand, like, why would we not like my other friend who's another color? Even especially my 8-year-old and my 10-year-old. And so it becomes a shock to them when they hear these things that are going on. And so I just don't think especially doesn't have any place in elementary school. And it doesn't stop at race. It also then goes into the sex education that they want to bring in. I know that they don't talk about it, but it really gets into this place where we need to make sure and insert gender, that there's more than boy and girl, into elementary school, into kindergarten, into first grade, into second grade, which is all additionally part of the CRT, which is a gigantic problem when I have a role as a parent to teach my kids about sexuality.
Right. It seems like a very young age. And again, I mean, I can only speak for my kids. My kids haven't, between kinder and third, weren't they didn't really have the mental capacity to even ask questions yet about where they come from, and they just didn't ask. So now we're having those conversations. I mean, I've always had a very open door and open dialogue with my daughter, who's middle school. I would like to hope that there's not much she doesn't share with me. But in kinder through third, that she wasn't asking those questions. And if she did, I was the one who was answering them, and I would answer them the way that I felt was appropriate, or what I wanted to tell her, whether it was the truth or a variation of the truth.
Do you think her teacher should be doing that?
No, not in K through third. No, I think that, yeah, no, I think that young of an age, like not everyone wants, I mean, maybe where babies are born, someone's telling their child the truth that's in third grade, but maybe there's someone else that's not, and the stork is still coming and dropping off. I mean, that's kind of a personal thing to your family. I probably am one that's a little bit more honest, I guess, with age appropriate, but I am pretty honest with my kid. So if she were to say, Mom, how are babies born? I don't know that I would actually give her details, but I wouldn't be telling her the stork dropped her off. Right. So, but again, that young of an age, I don't know that no, I think.
So when we're talking about indoctrination or grooming, that you've probably heard the red side say often.
Yes.
Including Disneyland right now is also grooming children, is that here is the problem that we see. And we both have, at least as far as we can tell, heterosexual children, right?
Okay. Yes.
For the most part. You never know, right? What's going on. But the problem is that in these early ages of whether it's second graders or even up to like fourth or fifth graders, is that they will have these ideas. Either they're brought to them through social media, or they're brought to them through their other friends and that kind of stuff, where they believe that they may be something else. I'm going to use a real story, and that there was a period of time that my 8-year-old, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, said that he was a werewolf, and made a videotape explaining how he would transition into this werewolf on my phone, and I saw it. And I asked him, I goes, yeah, I'm a werewolf. And so just on that aspect, if I were to have a teacher who was into this furry thing, which is a real thing, would go in there, oh, do you think you're a werewolf? There might be some truth to that. And then away from me, and without telling me, continued this on a regular basis, where we have given children, at least I know that me growing up, felt that the teacher, police officers, doctors are all trusted people. That you have a trusted person going along with this idea that my son might be a werewolf, for instance, and can continue this talk with him and continue to say, you know what, I believe you're a werewolf. And he may not continue in this path, but it's something that I don't want to fight against. I don't want to fight against a teacher who's trying to convince my son he's right, you are a werewolf. It's kind of like my son also, my 10-year-old used and still does on occasion suck his thumb. And I don't want to fight against the school saying it's okay to suck your thumb. Your dad is wrong, that you should be able to suck your thumb, and that kind of stuff. That I don't want to be fight. That's my job, again, is to teach my children good habits and ways of thinking that I think are appropriate for their age. That I don't want a teacher now I don't want to be combating against the school. The teacher's job is to teach my kid how to read, write, count, and how to think, not to go against something that I'm teaching. Do you see those? I want to use those 2 points because they're very similar and I've been still battling my 10-year-old son about sucking his thumb. It's hard.
Yeah. So when it comes to school, I send my kid to school in hopes that she's going to get an education. Go learn what you need to learn in your textbooks. The factual, honest truth about history, accurate math, English, learn how to write, read, all those things. That's why I send my kid to school. Now, if there's a topic that gets brought up, I guess I have no problem talking to the teacher about it and just saying like, hey, in our home, this is what we do. And I've always had teachers be very receptive of that. So I've never had to have that conversation, I guess, because my kids never come home saying it. So either it's not happening in my kids' classes or she's not telling me. But I do think teachers are there to teach, and thank God they are, because I am not. What I've learned through COVID is that I am not one to teach my kid. I mean, if my kid has to go based on the education I'm going to give her, I mean, geez. But I didn't know that there was anything else actually going on. I didn't know that they weren't teaching just that.
These things are going on.
So either it's not happening in my kids'
Yeah.
classes or I'm not hearing about it.
Yeah.
So that's when everyone talks about that. It's like, who are these teachers? I don't know who they are because I have not experienced that.
Unfortunately, I think we're lucky that in the Placentia Urban School District, and I've said this often, that I believe our school district is one of the better school districts in the country, and even in California. But we still have these issues popping up.
Yeah.
We have them, flying the LGBT flag inside the classroom, which again is in high school, but it's still one of those things that we have to discuss. Now, can we fly a Blue Lives Matter flag? And that's it. No, they say no.
Oh. Well, I think yes. I mean, look, I am all for LGBTQ rights, and I would fly a flag. But to that, I'm not saying. I mean, even though with the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Like, there's racial injustice being done, and there is a group of people feeling oppressed, and I just never understood why it was so hard to say Black Lives Matter. I mean, when I say Black Lives Matter, I'm not saying that blue lives don't matter. But yeah, I mean, there are some bad cops, let's be honest. Yeah. I'm sure you know more than I do. But there's good people everywhere and bad people everywhere. It's like, just like there's bad cops, there's really great cops. So, I mean, I just never understood how it became a blue versus black. I really did not understand it. I was like, I am here for the Black Lives Matter movement because there's racial injustice being done and Black people are oppressed. And I'm going to say Black Lives Matter because Black lives matter. I mean, it's kind of like your house, that's why I liked the house on fire. It's like your house, all the houses on the street matter, but right now yours is on fire. So let's worry about that one first and say that your house matters. I just never understand why it was so hard for anyone to say Black Lives Matter. But by saying that, you're not saying anyone else's life doesn't. Right. And I know and adore many cops. I mean, I have many friends. I mean, hello, I'm fire family. That goes with it. It's all the same. It's kind of the same.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand it. So yes, I think that if you're going to put one flag in, you should put them all in. Sure. Yeah. Like LGBT or not. Yeah. I mean, I personally didn't ever know. Growing up, I never even knew politically where my teachers stood.
Right.
I didn't even, I personally, even with the school board, I don't really want to know where they lie politically and religiously. I don't care. It's not even a part of, I don't want it in my kid's school. I think
you hit on one of our strongest points that we make on the red side.
Okay.
Is that we don't want to know. I mean, I just want to teach my kid how to do, in high school, algebra, trigonometry, get him to speak Spanish if that's the class he's in.
Yeah.
Why do we have to have all this other shenanigans in there? That is, again, we're battling enough from society and the movies that are out there. And again, social media is I don't want to battle against schools too. I just want my kid to graduate and know how to read.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know where all of this division came from. I mean, I will say that during the election, I saw a lot of it with our country. And so it's just trickled down to our community. And look, we all live in Yorba Linda. We all are one community. I wish that, we could find a way to just all live here harmoniously and where our kids all matter. And, I just didn't understand. I still really don't. And I mean, the colors, I think it was supposed to be, it started out with a unity thing. And now it's just, God forbid, if you come in, never coming to our school board meetings wearing green or wearing red, God forbid. I had a hard time. And I know one of the red shirts. I'd say, our children went on a vacation together and I adore her child. I adore her. She was always very nice to me and my kid. And it's now even awkward to say hello to her in these meetings because she's wearing a red shirt and I might be wearing a green. So
you shouldn't wear green.
I'm going to start wearing white from now on. I am very much like, let's just all get along. We either need to sing Kumbaya before the meetings or take a shot, and either one is fine. But it's uncomfortable, and I don't like when people talk about me. I'm sure my name is going around on your guys' red shirt private pages, and
No, actually,
maybe not anymore.
Yeah,
but
Ignorant Douche Lord is still to this day.
So
Really quick, I just want to get a
yeah.
couple of these. I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah,
sorry. Karen says, "Good question, good answer. Teachers shouldn't be discussing sexual topics with kids," and that's we feel the same way, unless it's a sex education class. I was in
Yes.
sex crimes as a detective at the police department, and I've said this often, where if a man stopped my child at a park and began to talk to them about some of these topics that they want to teach kindergartens, we would arrest him.
Yes.
He would be doing time, 10, 15 years, and
Yeah.
be labeled
And he would be like
sexual
a weird
predator.
pedophile. Yeah.
and yet we're going, wait, but a teacher can do this?
Yeah.
No, we would not allow that to happen. Karen says, Knott's Berry Farm, and just saw a furry walk by. And these are real things that are just happening. We've heard of schools having litter boxes in the restrooms for children that claim to be furries. Do you not know this stuff?
No,
I'm telling you.
Very naive.
I know. This is happening. We have a girl. We have a girl dressing in a boys' locker room at El Dorado High School because she claims to be a boy. So, I mean, these are things that are currently happening.
I am sensitive to the transgender.
Yes, but they don't need to dress in the boys. Have you ever known a teenage boy? Were you ever a teenager?
No, well, I was a teenager.
You know how horny they are?
Do we need I can imagine.
This? I mean, we talked about it the other day where they put a man who says he's a woman and put him in a women's prison.
Yeah.
He's been a little busy. He's impregnated 2 women.
Yes.
I mean, what are we talking? Why are we doing this?
It's complicated.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's complicated. And I have friends that are trans, and so I definitely see their side and will support them 100%.
I'm not. My aunt is gay. I think she's still alive. Her and her partner lived since I was a little kid. So I've been for 60 years. I've been living with, and she's one of my favorite aunts. She's fantastic. None of this says anything how I feel. It's just we don't want to put, especially children that are young. We don't want to push them in the direction that they're really not intended to go to. Sure, we have questions. I had invisible friends when I was a kid. You know, if somebody would have told me your invisible friends are real, Andy, there was a chance I would have went on through my life thinking invisible people who were in my head were normal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so easy with a kid that's in that age group, even up to even high school, to influence them in a way because you've told them that their parents are awful, horrible people because they don't understand why you want to be this thing that you're not. And they're horrible, so you must trust in me. And it's a really vulnerable time for these kids.
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. I know there's some transgender children in our district, and there was some issues about which bathroom this child would use. And I personally don't care. If that child identifies with being a female, that child should use a female bathroom. I mean, there's stalls for a reason. It's not like we're out in the open like preschool and going to the bathroom. I mean, it's like ridiculous. But again, if there's another child that's uncomfortable with something, I mean, get them all personal stall. Isn't there stalls? I was even in middle school. In high school, I was so uncomfortable dressing in front of anyone that like, just give me my own personal stall. I want all those children to feel comfortable and safe and heard and
but we have the legitimate children that are struggling with their gender, and it's so few that we don't need to change the entire school for the few necessarily. What we can do though is there's a teacher's lounge, which I've brought up before, that they could use that. The children that are struggling. I just worry as a police officer and again a detective in sex crimes that it is sometimes it doesn't take much to push a child whose testosterone is really perking up to be put in a situation that they're going to fail at. And I just see that this can just lead to some problems with people that aren't necessarily being honest with their sexuality. That they've learned, hey, I can say I'm a boy, or I can say I'm a girl, and I can dress in.
Well, I think that's also different too. I mean, you have a child that from a very early age has identified as a boy or a girl, whatever they were not born as. And then you have some that I think are just changing so they can, it's like, I don't know how authentic that is. Like, are they really transgender, or they just decide to be because the guy got arrested and wants to be with female? Like, I have no idea. I don't know. The swimmer
that can't win the meet.
Yeah, I mean that person just had transitioned before. My understanding is that student had transitioned just right before. So I think, I don't know because I don't know them, but I don't know.
I
It's
just don't know that we
complicated.
can inconvenience, I call it inconvenience. I don't even know the right word to use, but we can take and now turn upside down the lives of, 99.9% of the population in the school for one, as opposed to let's figure out how we can help this one
Yeah.
and not affect all the others.
Yeah. But we
And I
need
think
to
that
help
that's
that
a
one.
better way to go.
So
the other thing is when we do have problems come up, we don't need to again change curriculum when it comes to racism in the school or gender bashing or whatever it is, that we have enough rules in place to handle that too. Suspensions, investigations, kicking them out of the school and that kind of stuff. Again, we don't need to change the curriculum because there may be a couple of kids in there that are racist or, have a problem with homosexuality or whatever it is, that we have rules to stop that. And again, we don't need to change an entire curriculum because of a couple people that don't know how to control themselves.
yeah. And where
don't
do
have good
those
parents,
kids though
probably.
end up? Even, okay, so my child was recently called the N-word at the town center by students that she goes to school with. I had a hard time calling the school on them because what they don't go to school now. Now they've lost an education or they've lost, it's almost making it harder for those kids, even though, yes, what they said was ignorant and what they said was insensitive. I don't want to ruin their upbringing and their lives and their education. So that's why I decided to tell them I'm going to your parents, because your parents can decide what to do with you, whether it's sitting in a class on a Saturday learning about Black lie or Black people and the history of the word or whatever it might be. So the suspension always, it's like those kids, I feel for them too.
Yeah, but we have an escalation of punishment that schools use, that even the law uses, that you first hit the parent up and say, listen, little Johnny called your daughter, Leah's daughter, the N-word. We want to handle this in a way that we think is going to be beneficial to your son and see if we can't have a lesson learned here. And let's deal with that. So that's the first tier.
Okay.
He comes back and does it again. Then we say, all right, we tried it the other way. We're going to have to, he's going to have to stay after school, at homeroom, that kind of stuff. And then I think we already have those things in place.
Clearly I was never suspended. So I don't know all
I was swatted. So we had swatting when I was in high school.
I mean, when I confronted these kids and said, knock it off, they were very apologetic. And so those are the things I don't know why or how they're using it. The one mother I spoke to was very disappointed in her child. So that was nice that she was like, I will definitely have a conversation with him. So listen, that's it. It's like you change one. And again, I don't think those kids will ever at least say, I hope they never say it to anyone ever again. But I think everyone's too afraid to say it.
Yeah.
Because they're because there's some crazy mom that's on the prowl.
So just really quick, I want to get a couple of these comments. Karen has a long one here. I want to make sure and read this. I've experienced it. A teacher was promoting something that totally conflicts with a reality and my beliefs. I tried to talk to her about it, and she chastised me and graded my son down for challenging her on it. Just so you know, what you believe is not under assault in education. So that might be why you haven't experienced what some of us are. I get it.
That's I'm sorry that happened to her son.
We all have little stories, and I could go on forever with this story because I'm very involved in this. I get the stories from all these things, but I can tell you that my son came to me with a friend of his whose father also was a police officer, and that boy told my son that all cops are racist. And this boy is, I want to say he's Dominican or something like that. And Kelly goes, what? My dad's not racist. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, yeah, cops are killing Black people at about 10,000 a month. And he goes, who'd you hear that from? He goes, the teacher in his class told him that. And Kelly was able to find out that it was true, that the teacher was telling him that cops are going out and hunting down and killing Black men at a rate of 1,000 to 10,000 a month, depending on the season. 18 unarmed Black men who were violent were shot over the last couple of years, according to FBI statistics. And so you have this teacher, and so now this boy would not talk to his dad, who was a cop. And so these are the little things that are just like, why do we have these teachers interfering with the lives with our children and causing such problem? And again, this isn't the only one. So back to the CRT, we just want that part to stop, right? Your job is not to teach this boy that his dad is a racist cop and kills black people on a regular basis. Your job is to teach the kid how to do math. And I think it was not anything to do with social studies. It was either English or some type of subject matter that wasn't related to even the topic. And so that's what we're concerned about, and that's what we're fighting for. And we don't want you to have to go through that either. I mean.
Well, I think you guys are very misunderstood then, because that's the thing. If that is what you're fighting, I mean, I think, like you said, this is why, like, we have a lot more in common than we think. I don't know if anyone, even on the green side, and I have no idea, I don't know many of them personally, but I don't know that they're saying, yes, teach our kids about sex ed in first grade. Like, I don't know that they're saying that either. So I think that I would imagine everyone would agree that, like,
you would think, but the state it's the state that's doing. It's the states that are doing, the state education systems that are, and it's the people that we voted in, not me, maybe you.
I probably did.
Voted in Sacramento that are making the decision. I mean, you got AB 2223. If I can go to an extreme, which is a real case, where they say that a mom can abort their child up to 30 days out of the womb.
That is one I really don't understand.
But I mean, it's the same people, though.
Yeah,
when you're saying,
I tried to read that bill because about, like, the babies that you, like, I don't even remember what it's called, but like, where you can
infanticide.
Yes, thank you. I feel like what I'm hearing from Fox News sounds so crazy that no one would be on board with that.
No, you shouldn't.
But then what I hear from CNN, and again, I stopped watching all news because I just want the news like, give me the news station that is not one-sided or the other. I would like to, I want to hear about how Biden was shaking an imaginary hand, and I want to hear about how, Trump is, more orange today than he was yesterday. Like, I want I don't even know who to believe anymore, but that bill, from what I read, I don't even understand that. There's no way that, like, they're just okay with killing babies that are born. There has to be something else. Like, is it when they're born, if they're stillborn because the mom did meth, the mom can't get, can't get penalized for that? Like, okay, if that's the case, like, but the baby's already born. I
sat and on the vote, you can do it on the phone and listen to the arguments up in Sacramento during the first phase of the bill going through. And I listened through the person that wrote it and the people that supported it and what they had to say. And I listened to the opposing side of what they had to say. And I'm just telling you, it's the same people. When you say, how is it possible that somebody wants to teach a kindergarten about sex education? They're fighting for it in Florida. Disneyland says that you should be able to do that. They're fighting against the bill that says that you can't do that. Why would Disneyland do that?
I guess I'm different that way. Like, when it comes to certain things like that, like, why doesn't the parent just teach them? If that's what they want their kid to understand and know, like, just the parent. Like,
I don't think it's parents. I don't think these people are parents. I mean, even liberals that I know, well, that's a little too far. And you might be one of them.
Yeah, I definitely think killing newborn babies is not okay.
Which I think you're more conservative than liberal. And
I might be. You know what? I am in the middle of the road depending on the issue. Like, vaccines, I am very pro-choice. So I personally got the vaccine because of my reasons, but I respect the fact that you haven't, and that's okay. Really, the only issues that matter to me are the ones of equality.
Yeah, Nicole, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Nicole says, nope, unfortunately not. If the mother wants to terminate the baby after birth, she can. It's murder.
Yeah,
I know, it sounds shocking.
Crazy to me.
No, I've listened to every argument.
But I have to know the other side to this argument. What are they saying? That's insane.
It is.
It's insane. But I feel like there is another side of maybe the Greens. Let's just call. There's another side to that. So what's really the truth? I mean, if that is the truth, then that's just absurd.
Well, I think that's the reason why I do the show that I do, and why I think it's important for people to get up and speak at the school board meetings, is because, like you, many people have said, I don't have the time. I'm busy. I got kids. I'm working. I don't have time to sort out between CNN and Fox and
Right.
AON and,
Right.
and Newsmax and all these different places, MSNBC, what the truth is. So, but I all I do is listen to the news. And all I do is read studies. I mean, I knew back 2 years ago that masks didn't work because I read the studies that said that masks don't work, and yet they kept pushing that masks don't work, and even the box says masks don't work. And I asked the state to show us the proof. I would constantly show me, whether it's the school district, and I'm just sharing this one part, is to show me the studies that you're using to show that it's necessary to keep these kids masked. Never. The county wasn't able to do it. The state wasn't able to do it. The school district, El Sasser, who's now going to be gone, we'll talk about in a second. None of them ever came up with any information. Even I went to Greenies and said, can you give me the information that tells me that you're supposed to be wearing that thing?
Yeah.
And they go, we don't have any. We're just listening to CNN.
Who likes wearing masks?
Nobody.
But I do it. I mean, if I come to your home and you tell me put a mask on, I feel more comfortable. Sure, absolutely. I'm courteous that way. I'm a bit of a rule follower. So if they say I have to wear it, I'll wear it. But no one likes wearing it. That was one of the reasons I got vaxxed, because I just did not want to wear the masks anymore. To me, it's the hypocrisy that, you go to the Super Bowl and you see, our governor rolling around with people without masks. I mean, yes. I mean, who should actually be wearing a mask, I would imagine. If
has a compromised immune system.
Yes. Yeah. And then and instead of owning it, going, wow, you guys, this really looked bad.
About that.
I would have actually had more respect had they done that. Instead, they were like, well, we held our breath. I mean, come on. So the hypocrisy is what got me. And so, yeah, I don't blame anyone for not wanting to wear a mask. I personally, though, when it came to the school board stuff, I didn't understand why anyone was even going to the school board to fight it, because there's not much the school board can do. I mean, you're kind of preaching to the wrong choir. It's like, go to the state level where it matters, right?
Yeah, we could. I mean, we just got to go against it. And we had new people, and some cities and some districts were.
Well, I feel like Yorba Linda, though, didn't they send out a letter saying like even with the mandate, they were like,
we don't. We had El Sasser. We have El Sasser, who's a do-nothing school district superintendent, and we both know that. He doesn't return our emails. He doesn't do anything. I'm sure he's a lovely person, but any email I got from him was sort of not helpful. So I don't know what with him leaving. I don't blame him for leaving. I mean, shoot, if I were any one of you board members, I would have been like, peace out. I'm over this. This is crazy town. I want to bring up Sarah's comment here, and hopefully I can read it better than the last one. It's interesting that you had brought up the N-word. I had argued against a book to be brought into school as curriculum that actually had that word on every page multiple times. And this book was to be read in middle schools. And we wondered why kids are using it, because it appears to be acceptable to be read in books at school.
Yeah, I think it's okay to give the history of that word and explain how it became used, but never, like, if I'm reading these books, especially as a white person, if I am reading these books out loud in class, I am just going to bypass that word, like I do with rap songs. When I rap, if I'm singing along, I'm going to let that word slide right out. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just beeping that out.
To the battle in my car.
Yeah.
If it's going to be in these school books, it's going to be over and over and over again. And then it's in the music that they're listening to over and over again, including the F word and scisoring, which I heard the other day, and pole writing, and all the stuff that I've heard in the songs that want to be played in the car. My kids hate it. That I'm constantly monitoring the music that they listen to. And I go, Dad, and I go back to when I was living in the 70s and 60s, and they were saying, oh, grown-ups don't understand music today. The problem is it's normalizing the N-word. It's normalizing the F word and sex and twerking to the point where it just becomes like, if you're not doing those things and not saying that word, that you're not cool.
Right.
And so my argument with my kids is that we don't need to normalize it in school. We don't need to normalize it in my car. To the point where it just becomes like, everybody's saying it, Dad. I want you to be the exception. And I tell them this all the time when I drop them off at their friend's house. I said, son or daughter, I want you to be the exception. I want you to be the kid that isn't using those words.
Right.
And so I want to teach them to have self-control. If I'm battling not only against the music and social media, and I'm battling the teachers, we will never win as parents.
So, and that's the thing with those kids that said it. I was like, they probably listen to rap music and they think it's a cool word to use, but there has to be someone, and unfortunately, it's not going to be my daughter. but when I was her age, I was a student that would stand up and go, no, you cannot say that word. That is not okay. But unfortunately, I feel like it's normalized. And I mean, this is why I listen to country music, because, you know, he lost his dog or the cornfield.
Christian music is amazing.
I don't personally listen to a lot of rap. I know that kids do. My kids not so much into it, but yeah.
The cat hit the camera.
Oh, that's okay. I don't like that word. I don't like when anyone uses it, including Black people, because I know that, like, you know, sometimes I hear it as like a term of endearment with them. And I guess it's acceptable because they're saying it to one another. And if it doesn't offend the other person, like, okay, do you guys? But I personally just don't like the word. And
you guys have made so many great comments, and I wish I could get to all of them. But there's just so many. And if you wouldn't mind, after the show, go on and look at some of the comments. And if anybody are directed at you or that you think might need a reply, and I'll try to do the same. But there's so many, I just can't keep up with them. But not enough stalls for all kids to change in, for not enough time to wait in line for a stall at PE time. Kids only get so much time to get changed. Yeah.
I mean, can we just talk about, my PE friends will probably hate me for saying this, but like, isn't there aren't these kids all in some kind of activity outside of school? Why are we even
No, we gotta have sports.
I mean, I guess we have to have sports, but they're all playing them outside. Like, my kid comes to the gym with me. She's like,
I don't know. In the 60s, 70s, again, that's the only thing I can go to. We all took showers after a football game, and we never had to be concerned about it. And that was so free.
Never had time.
And people and the boys would slide down the shower.
This is why we all stunk in middle school and high school, because I mean, I don't know if I'm sure you have, but I've smelled my teenager. And oh my gosh, go put something on. But I don't know.
If you don't want to shower, don't shower. But now we're complicating it now with the opposite gender in there, because they claim to be this thing. Not this thing, you know what I'm saying? This opposite of whatever. I just didn't want to say boy or girl.
Yeah.
Or even an animal. And again, I'd like to tell you that those things aren't happening, but I'm telling you, at some point, it's like when I was a cop, I was a canine handler, and we'd have to give an announcement before I sent our dog into a room to go look for a bad guy, because the dog would bite him. And we had the English version come out. We're going to send the police dog. He's going to bite you. And they said, well, now you have to say the Spanish version. Excuse me. So now we had to say in Spanish and in English. And then we would be near Garden Grove, where there's a lot of Vietnamese. And he said, now you're saying we have to say it in Vietnamese. At what point do we have to make all these accommodations? That's just going to we're going to miss it. Now we're putting ourselves at more liability, because now we're not teaching Cherokee Indian how to say it in Cherokee Indian. Do you see what I'm saying? Is that we have the majority, boys and girls. And then we have this minority that we're trying to accommodate, that it's going to be impossible as things go haywire. And that's what I'm afraid of, that we're going to try to now have we're going to turn classrooms and the restrooms for these different genders.
Yeah, I don't know. There has to be a way to make all these students feel supported. That is just, and this is maybe why I'm not on the school board, because I don't have the answers. I just know that every student, every child, no matter if it's mine or someone else's, I sympathize with every student's and every parent's challenges. I mean, I have challenges just having a Black daughter. There are challenges that I have that a white mother with white children may not have. And I don't have all the answers. I just know that there has to be some empathy and there has to be some sympathy. And
I love having this discussion with you.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like I would go to those parents, because those parents might have the best answer. And I just unfortunately can't speak on it, because I don't know what they would suggest or what they want. Or
one of the solutions that would affect you is that there's this idea, especially in LA, which you left LA to come to Orange County, and you found that one of the things was the schools were better. That in LA is that they are lowering the standards because of what they say is racist, because they can't expect children of minority, whether it's Hispanic or Black, to actually get good grades. Do you think it would be important for your child to get a different grading standard because of your child being?
No. No, you hold my child to the same standard as the
Right.
next child next to her.
That's equality.
Yeah, and she will prevail
Yes.
because I have instilled into her from day one how important school is, and that your priority while you live here is school. I mean, that's your only job when you're a kid.
Well, that means
do
that
well
we
in
can
school.
overcorrect and make these changes, and it's wrong. Like it's wrong that for the school. I mean, the school. I don't know if you saw, but we have kids that are under 50% graduating at their grade level and achieving at their grade level. In most areas, it's under 50% in Placentia Urban School District.
Well,
And that's even after they've lowered the grades and lowered the graduation standards. And if I'm not mistaken, Abrams, I can't remember her name, but she's one of the superintendents, said that we are going to, we're in some cases, I think, get rid of Fs or move it down so that it's harder to get an F. And this goes along with everything else, is that we keep changing things to accommodate the few as opposed to raising up the education. We're so busy trying to teach kids that they're oppressed or oppressors. We're so busy talking about gender issues that we've lost the ability to teach kids how to read, write, and count.
Yeah. And my thought on that is, where are these parents?
Yeah.
I mean, really, the education starts at home. I think, I remember from my daughter was in kindergarten. I had told her to do her homework at after school care. She didn't. And I knew my sister was picking her up to take her to Disneyland that day. I didn't tell her that because I was like, I'm not going to get her excited in case plans change. I called and she said, I go, did she do her homework? And she said, no. And I said, okay, where are you? And she said, we're about to enter Disney. And I was like, I'll be there in a minute. I'll come meet you. Do not go in the park yet. And she said, why? She's in kindergarten. I was like, because I told her to do her homework. She didn't do it. So now she's going to learn the lesson from not doing it. She's not going to go to Disneyland today with you. And my sister thought it was the most harsh thing I've ever done. She's like, she's in kindergarten. I can't believe. And I said, right now, yes, she's in kindergarten, but by the time she's in 6th grade or in high school where it matters, she will understand that homework comes first before anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've told her, if you have a hard time in school, if you're not understanding a concept in a class, you have to tell me or the teacher so we can get you the help that you need, whether it's a tutor or whatever.
Right.
So my question, I think a lot of this falls back on the parent. What is their home life like where they're getting Fs? It's pretty hard. These kids are just not caring at all. And where are these parents? So
yeah, well, it's dumbing down America, and it's making children a little bit lazy, in my belief. And I don't want that for my kids. And I tell them all the time, I need you to work hard.
Yeah.
You want to be always want to be the exception. Are they? Maybe not in some areas, but in I know that my two oldest are getting straight A's.
Yeah.
And so, but that is because that's the expectation, and making sure that they understand that they have a job to do, that it's just not, you don't go through the paces. It's just not, you're just going to go there and take up space.
Right.
You actually have work to do.
Do your job, and then you play, and then you do what you're going to do. But my daughter knows that right now school is her number one priority. If she does not get, and I know there's some students that C is a good grade for them. I understand that school comes harder to some kids. Mm-hmm. In my home, my child is an A student. So if you come in with a C, that phone's going to be taken away and that TV's coming out of your room. And I can guarantee her grades will come up. Even the gaming. It's like, take gaming away from your sons for a little bit and you will find that their grades probably improve.
This is what I want to do. I want us to agree that we are going to get rid of the green and red divide.
Yeah, I would love to.
That's racist too.
Yeah, I would love to. And I think that I can't speak for them. I don't know, but I don't think the division's fun for anyone. Mm-hmm. I really don't. It's uncomfortable, being talked about on social media as much as we want to say. Even Leandra, she's talked about a lot on social media, right? Mm-hmm. Because she's in a position of being elected, and you're not going to make everyone happy. But and I know she says you just have to let it roll off. You can't let it bother you. But how? We're human, so of course it's going to bother us. So I don't like the division. The silver lining of this whole thing is that, luckily we both kind of, with my saying you're a douche lord or whatever, an ignorant douche lord, that you and I, we had a conversation, and we don't have to agree on everything. But we're all human, and we all have to live here in Yorba Linda. It's a lot easier to get along with everyone than it is not. And I can't, like I said, the only thing is like inclusivity and equality. And
I mean, now the masks seemingly are over.
Yeah.
We do have an issue with these vaccines that are going to be coming up, I'm sure, but we're going to fight against that. And CRT has been addressed, and it's not put
behind us.
But I would like for us just to go back to being parents and not green parents or red parents. That the important thing, and to stop having the kids from Chapman University and Cal State Florida coming over and pretending that they care about what happens in the school district. I
always thought it was great. I think it's great when students come, regardless of what side they stand. I'm kind of like, great, this is who we're here for. So who better to voice than them, But I honestly have,
because they're not sincere. They're giving credits for showing up.
Are they though? I don't know if I believe that.
We've seen the flyers.
Oh, there's flyers?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
I wouldn't say anything.
Who's
just know for sure, I wouldn't say anything unless I had seen something or have some evidence. I don't just throw stuff out there.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. When they came, I really was like, good for them. They care. They're here. I mean,
it's a whole organization. We found the organization. If you want, I know people that can share the information that it's an organization that was created to come to Placentia Urban School District and fight against the banning of CRT. It's not sincere, and they're not telling the truth.
Sincere comments I like. I mean, I don't know who's sincere and who's not. That's the problem now with all this. It's like, I know literally one person on the red side, and I know one person on the green side, and the green side I know is sincere, and I think the red side I don't have. It's like
parents for sure. And what I want to do is with our proclamation that we made here, because we are, I'm the douche lord, and I'm not sure what you are. You're amazing. You're the wife of a fireman. You're spectacular.
Yeah, I'm a fire wife, which in itself deserves an award.
But because we may go on a little bit longer, we've already gone on for an hour, and I'm so sorry if I've kept you longer than I should have. But I think that right now is that we need to fight for now is to now get education back into our schools.
Yes,
that really is important, and not be at this below 50 percentile of kids meeting the standards.
Yes, no, I 100% agree. I think education comes first. These kids, if they're not doing well, I think we need to go have a conversation with their parents to figure out what's happening at home. How can we help? I mean, that's the only way these students are obviously not motivated. Mm-hmm. They don't have the support at home. And if they do, what is happening? But yes, I just want my kid to go to school, learn her education, get her education. And she to accept all people, no matter race, religion, genders, or sexual orientation, whatever. Like, we look at the person and we look at their heart. That's what matters. That's where I'm at. I just want everyone to feel like comfortable at school and safe, and everything else doesn't really, not that it doesn't matter, but I have to choose my battles wisely in this city.
We can work through these other things in some way or another, or not. I mean, that's the other thing. Sometimes you just can't.
Yeah.
There's things that I was asked to do as a police officer that, I would have to have like a cape, and I'd say, I'm sorry, there's nothing that we can do at this point. And that's just it. I mean, to keep bashing each other over the head about some of these issues is not going to help our kids get educated.
Right.
We need to first concentrate on educating the kids, and then we can probably deal with some of these other things a little more effectively.
At home, you red shirts. I hope you are teaching all
There's
of
no more red shirts.
There's no more red shirt. Okay, so I don't even know how
what
to
formally called.
This is what's horrible. Is I don't even know how to call. I don't even know names
people
anymore. It's like, oh, she's a red shirt. Okay, and that's what's unfortunate, because there's plenty of, I don't know all of them, but it's just so uncomfortable. Like, I probably have a lot in common with some of those women that wear those red shirts. And unfortunately, I look at them and I roll my eyes like, oh, you're one of them. Okay. And I'm pretty sure it's happening with all of the green side. Like, the people wearing red are looking at green going, ugh, God, she's one of the, but we all have way more in common than we think. I think we all just care about our children, whatever that might be, whether it's LGBTQ, color, race, whatever. So, But I will say this, there is and I'm going to speak for myself when I say this. There is a flyer that has come to my attention that your wife, I think, had sent about like having an all Christian school board with the elections coming up. And I will say that scares me a little bit, only because, and not that there's anything wrong with the beliefs and values of a Christian person, but for someone like me who's not very religious, that scares me a little bit. Like, what does that mean for our school if you have an all Christian board member?
I think it goes back to what our country is based off of, is biblical values of morals and what's right and wrong and rules of law that the country was based off of. And I think that that's the same thing here. My wife is also formerly a Muslim, and is only last couple of years has been a Christian, but also loves her Muslim family that will still talk to her. Her mother's Muslim. Okay. And so it doesn't mean that we're going to go there and try to transition everybody from atheist, Muslim, Buddhist to Christianity. I think the most important thing is that we bring back a sense of morality back to what's happening in our school and truth about our U.S. history and everything that goes along with it. That it means that we want to make sure that we hire people that we can trust to do the right thing, but not to push the Christian agenda.
Okay, good. That's what I don't want anyone pushing an agenda. But it's so funny hearing you say that. I think the other side would say the same thing. Yeah. Like they just want the education in our schools. And now what that means for, I think, I don't know if the sides have different versions of the truth, unfortunately. And I don't know, it's become kind of like Fox and CNN. Like, I don't know who to believe anymore.
But again, I always ask for, okay, show me. And then when they can't show me, I said, well, where are you getting this information? Well, I heard. Yeah. Well, what do you mean?
Well, sometimes it just takes a conversation. So if you have been wearing red shirts to the meeting, I suggest you start wearing a different color. And then you say hello or sit next to someone who has
I think that's the important thing. So we have a couple things here. We want to get rid of the divide. We want to make sure that people just, have a conversation. There's another person that is very strongly on the green side that is way more of an activist than you are.
And whoever that is much smarter, probably.
Formerly known as the green side. Okay. And her and I have connected and, respectfully talked to one another, and she's asked for my help on occasion. And so I think those are the things that really are going to help, is to continue to have these conversations and not be, I'm not going to talk to you.
Right.
You're a lunatic.
Right.
As opposed to, I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
And maybe I can help with some facts.
I mean, because all the things that you're saying to me now are like, yes, of course, I agree with that. I want it to be factual education. I want everyone to feel welcome and safe. And I think that we agree on those things. Now, what that looks like, I would imagine, like, there's one truth to those things. So, it's
kind of like President Trump.
Oh, well, and here's my issue with him.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Okay.
So sorry, this is going to go off topic. So all of you that are watching, we love all the people that are watching. This has been a great success, and keep commenting too.
I am not a Trump fan at all. I have friends that are, and we either have decided to not talk politics and we can continue being friends because there's something that we each love about the other person, and we either don't talk politics or we have a sense of humor and we can just laugh about it. I am not a Trump fan. I think that he spews hate. I think that, he's not Emily Dickinson over any kind of text or social media. That's what bothers me about him. He comes off to be a racist. He doesn't condemn. And it's like, it's the way in which he comes across that I have a problem with. He seems like a big bully to me.
Do you believe that somebody that's in the presidency, unlike the dude that's there now, needs to be a strong personality of confidence and
yes, I think that the president should absolutely be strong and confident. I think there should be an age limit for sure. I think that this is the problem. These are the best two guys we came up with. I mean, come on. I would like to see a younger person in, whether it's male, female, I don't care, someone a little younger. I think if he had come across a little bit more like sensitive And maybe he would have been liked more by people.
The only thing I can say, and he doesn't need me to defend him, but he is that strong personality with a little bit of a history of being a womanizer and that kind of stuff,
Yes.
right? And it's just but so have a lot of our presidents. And so he's not alone in that. The other thing is that even before he was elected to the White House, he'd been attacked about being a Russian spy and about all these things that are not true. And I just want you to maybe take a look at, if you were attacked at work, you're in the clothing business, right? In particular, denim type of clothing.
Yeah, well, all
I'm just saying, just consider that you're here in this business and you are the best of the best. Let's just claim that. And if you begin to be attacked by 50% of the people that work at your office, is that you are not very good, that you are a spy for Gap or the Levi Strauss company. And it's just like every day you're getting hit by the people that don't like you for whatever reason they don't like you. And it's just nonstop. And that you're still trying to work for the company to help it be successful, but you keep getting hammered about this things that's not true, which we've learned right now that none of those things are true ever. That we were trained as Americans that this guy is a Russian spy. They even said there was a tape that a Russian prostitute was peeing on him. They said that was true. I mean, and these things go on, and then you're saying, I'm trying to do a job here. And in the meantime, while he's being attacked by all the media that's out there, even social media, that he's still, black unemployment is at the lowest it ever was during his presidency. Hispanic unemployment was as low as it's ever been in our history. That he brought together these countries in the Middle East and got 4 peace treaties. That in spite of all these things that people hated about him, he was still able to get a whole lot of stuff done for this country. And the gas prices were down at $2. Wow. And we were energy independent. That you can say what you want about him and say that,
right.
But when you're attacked, you may call somebody an ignorant douchebag or douche lord because of what you think somebody has going on. And I think that's where he kind of he had to fight back. And so I give him a little bit of a break. There's some things he could have done differently, I think, as far as a speech. But at some point, when you're attacked on a daily basis, the FBI, the DOJ, the CIA was all working against him and his own president. They were investigating him and spying on him and tapping his phone conversations. And you can't run a presidency without, where you're working your ass off to do the best you can for the country, and not at some point say, you know what, fake media, you people that are attacking me, everything. He knows that he didn't do any of those things.
Well, the media is a lot to blame, I think, for a lot of this. When I think of a president, I just want one that is not a bully. And yes, the womanizing thing, grab him by the pussy. I mean, the whole thing is what is happening?
That was all before, and we elected him in spite of it.
Yes. Yeah. I just don't like the way. And maybe if I had a one-on-one conversation with him, I would feel different, kind of like Leandra. And I told her this when we met. I said, listen, I really don't like him. And speaking to her one-on-one, she seems very different than the Leandra we know from the board, right? She's a very nice person. And I had a lovely conversation with her. And if I had known her prior to some of the comments she made, I might be like, oh, I would have called her and said, okay, that was bad. So let's fix it. But because I'm her friend, it would, it would have come across different. But I told her, in my opinion, she came across a little like that. She was a little, there was no filter, and she didn't have a sensitivity to people of color or whatnot. So
the transition from Trump, that was just all I wanted to say, is that there's a lot that goes behind his anger, which I understand. Yeah. So I can understand.
I just hope
now when we come to, I know
we go away from all those.
But if you looked at all the successes, they may look at it differently. When you
go, oh my gosh, people.
I didn't know that he did all that stuff. I think you'd be shocked at how much he got done.
I would be okay if The Rock.
There's nothing that this guy has got done. Oh, The Rock would be good.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis would be amazing. But now we talk to Leandra. Now go on Leandra really quick, because I think she's watching. Is that how different if you just were to go by our last interview? How different she was on that one than she was on the first.
Totally. And
But we
spent
all
a long
grow, right?
time
We all
with
get
her.
better. We all
Yes.
grow. And I think that's important to
And
understand.
because we are all human, I
Mhm.
am 100% for growth.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I'm also a big believer in, what you do speak so loud. I don't hear what you say. So I
Yeah.
just, I've told her, like, I just want everybody to, what I just said here all day, like the equal rights, inclusivity, those are the things that are important to me. And she agreed. So I just have to hope now that when it comes down to,
I think all along, that's what we've been fighting for.
yeah,
And somehow that wasn't getting out. But I do think, as I told Leandra the last time, I go, oh my gosh, I want to let you know one thing, is that you have come to a place where I think that you now found your place. Because like me, I never thought I'd be involved in the school board. And I had no idea what I was doing as far as speaking out
Yeah.
and being involved in that kind of stuff. And I think I did some things wrong in the beginning. But and I would just go back to Trump real quick. I think he was not a politician. He was a businessman
right.
who talked to construction workers in a way that we know how construction workers can talk,
Yeah.
how firemen can talk to each other, how police can talk to each other. And it's hard to get out of that
yeah.
thing. And I think Leandra and I both have grown to be different people. And hopefully through this show and us having this discussion, that we can have a different community.
I hope so. And if I can just challenge everyone else out there that if they have an issue or they're feeling a certain way, that they just address it one-on-one. Like there doesn't have to be this weird school board yelling back and forth. Or I really just would rather see a conversation, even if it's in private over coffee. I mean, I realize you don't have a ton of time and Leander doesn't have a ton of time to meet everybody, but there's some people have real issues and challenges and they have a hard time. And I don't know if it will change anything, but a conversation should be had. So there can be a discussion from both sides.
Absolutely. Hopefully we demonstrated that today.
Yes.
I hope. I wanted to read Jen's here. Jen says, I actually sat on the green side at last board meeting and got to reconnect with a friend that I never knew how she felt. We had great conversation, even a hug in the end. She asked me if I knew I was sitting on the green side and if I had a problem with that. I told her I have no problem at all.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, I think that what I see in those meetings is that there are very passionate parents, and that is a good thing. But I think that we just need to be sympathetic of each other's passions, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
the passion just has to be about education.
Yeah.
We just need to move on.
Yeah. And I don't know if any of them would disagree with that, honestly. I mean, without speaking for them. And I don't know that they would disagree.
Awesome.
So
good hug.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Appreciate you so much. And glad we've been able to make this friendship happen.
Yeah, me too.
And hopefully we won't be sitting on different sides of the aisle.
No, can we all just wear white or douche lord shirts or something that you get made? I mean, I'd be fine to wear that too. I just, the division needs to end. It's exhausting. Yes, it's exhausting. Sure. I mean, the school board meetings come up and I am like, oh God, here we go.
Yeah. We didn't talk much about this, but El Sasser, the superintendent is retiring. Well,
he's actually going back to his old school.
Yeah, I'm retiring. I'm so sorry. He's going back because I've had enough.
It feels like he's retiring.
Yeah, he didn't last long.
No, and I think, I don't know how they go about getting a new. Is it someone we hire within and promote within, or is it someone we completely?
I believe the school board has a hand in it, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll figure it out more. I think maybe on one of my next shows we'll talk about what that means and how we're going to go about how we're going to be doing about that.
Yeah.
As parents. But I think it's good. I think it's good for him. I don't think that he made the impact that I hope that he would make.
Yeah.
It added to the drama. I think he was just non-confrontational is not the word I was looking for. He was just he didn't want to rock the boat
right. And I understand that. I mean, you're the superintendent. It's like you want to make everyone happy. Unfortunately, I don't think you're going. And that's it, right? Like not everybody's going to be happy on every issue. It's like you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. But at the end of the day, if our children are taken care of and they don't feel all this drama that we are feeling as parents, then fine. I'm fine with it. I mean, I did ask my daughter if she felt any kind of, I said, do you feel any type of way at school? Like, do you feel that you're treated unequally? Do you feel that you're treated unfairly? And she honestly was like, no. And if that is her, if that's the way that she comes out of Yorba Linda schools feeling, great. Then
That's our goal.
yeah, then we've done the job, and she's going to go out to the world and go to college because it's not an option. And she's going to learn, hopefully,
Absolutely.
she's going to have to go with that again. So.
Jen says, yes, school board decides and votes a new one in.
Is it someone? Yeah, but my question is it someone we promote within, or do we just go from another?
Abrams, I think, is the one they think might step in for a little while. I'm not sure. So we need to look a little bit more into it. So, okay. Yeah. And yes. Okay. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And
thanks for responding to my.
Of course. Hey, I own it. I think that's the thing that if everyone can and I don't think that I hurt your feelings, but I am not too proud to ever say, hey, I was wrong. I should never have, I don't really like talking behind people's backs. That's not really what I do. So you called me out, I owned it, and that's all we can do. And, even if you're in an elected position, I think it's important to own it if you've offended someone or whatever.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yeah.
Tell your husband I said hi.
I will. Is that it? We're done. We're off.
We're gonna be off in a second.
Oh, okay.
And if anybody says anything to your daughters, and
yes.
There'll be a third person fighting for
Thank you. So I appreciate that.
Should go without saying, but I just
look,
want to make sure you understand.
He's already look, he'll fight for your kids. Just
call
him.
I'll fight for any kid. That's why I asked the question. I said, tell me about what's happening with these investigations with these kids. They're saying that they were racially harassed. What's happening?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I got no answers.
Yeah.
Like, did you investigate it? Did somebody get suspended? Well, we can't tell you. I didn't ask for a name.
He may have been busy getting his new job.
I want to ask what it is that was done, because that's where it has to take place.
Yeah.
All right. So,
I agree.
But thank you again.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. Keep the comments coming. Share this out so other people can see it. Share it to the people formerly known as Green, so that they can see what's going on.
Oh, they're going to see, I'm sure. And might have to deal with that. But yeah, that's okay. I mean, look, I love them too.
We should have wore red and green today and just tore off the shirts or something.
Yes.
We didn't
I actually thought about wearing green.
With something underneath.
I look good in it because my eyes are green.
All right, my friends, we got to go. Love you guys. God bless. Take care. Bye.